Hey everybody, Tracy Brown. So I thought I would pop in a little earlier than I did, but that's just kind of how the day has gone, and I've been a little behind schedule with everything. So I had something else totally that I was going to talk about, which was eating because food tastes good and not wanting to have that end. I'm going to talk about that, but not today. So I just kind of want to be more in the moment with what I'm actually feeling right now, which is tired, like really tired. And I'm trying to figure out what that is, because nothing is majorly, actually, for me personally, nothing is wrong or bad. And so we can easily feel confused by that or frustrated by that when that happens. And it can make us doubt ourselves, one, and hijack our food possibly, and especially hijack what we can let ourselves do to take care of when we feel tired, lonely, hungry, angry, whatever. And so first things first, let's all acknowledge as you're watching this video, how are you doing right now? And I highly recommend you do that when you check in with yourself for your hunger and fullness, because it will tell you a lot about what is influencing when your food choices, how much you let yourself eat, whether you eat or not, what you choose. So all that matters. And so I want you to just definitely acknowledge that. So right now, as you're watching, check in. How are you actually feeling? Hungry, lonely, tired, scared, frustrated, over it, happy, joyful, whatever. Check in with that. Like I said, I'm tired. And so I've been tuning in to what the tiredness is about. And honestly, personally, just doing a lot of interpersonal work right now, which is always a good thing. And also just this collective of just so much sad and bad and uncontrollable right now. Feels like a lot in my system. So I don't know about you. And so how does this impact me personally with my food? Is that my old habit is definitely to want to go underground, meaning just eat enough to survive, eat off what is will get by but isn't exactly nourishing, or not take the time to make really nice meals. I mean, don't restrict, because those years are behind me. That was 15 plus years ago. I don't restrict, but what I do find myself doing is just eating good enough versus really tuning in, what do I need? What do I need to actually feel better? Whether it's food or whatever. And for me, what I can tuning into is that there's certain kinds of food that kind of feels good, I think, really to be eating, versus kind of what I have done. And yesterday, I totally was still feeling the same way. And I took a little bit deeper look into what I needed to do, which was not cook. And so I got dinner out. Probably won't do that again today, but I have some better options, I think, to cook for tonight, which is good. And they're super simple and easy. And so that's what's going to happen for me. So I took some time yesterday to kind of like get back on track with that. Hi, somebody's waving at me in a parking lot, in car line as usual at this time of day. So anyway, I want you to tune in with like, okay, what do you need with your food? If you're feeling all these other things, what would be helpful to you, and what would feel like the easiest way, the very easiest way to get nourished? And that could be getting food that you don't have to take care of, but that takes care of you. Okay. The other part of it is with like the fatigue and all this kind of thing. Sometimes what happens is if we wait too long, our hunger can go underground, and we think that, like, if I just hold off, then it'll go away, and then I can just keep going. And what we find happens is this typically leads to confusion again with our hunger, and can make us blame ourselves, but it can also obviously lead to deprivation-driven eating, and we end up making food choices that, it's not a big deal, and you can make different choices tomorrow. It's just that it doesn't always feel good in the moment when we're mostly eating foods that we're just eating it to make up the deficit. We may not even want to eat those certain foods or in a certain quantity. So let's say that, like, again, you didn't eat much the most of the day because you're running off adrenaline and running off fumes, and then you get home and you're kind of picking at leftovers, or you're picking at ice cream or cookies or whatever, and you end up eating a meal, let's say, of ice cream and cookies, when probably if you've given yourself just a moment to just center. And for you, that could mean like pressing in on your chest and just feeling the pressure of that. Could get you more connected. Could be tuning in with your hunger, fullness, of course, in your belly or in your whole body, not just with your stomach. It could also just be a way of whatever practices you have of grounding yourself. So for me, that looks like rain stick that's on my page here. You guys can find rain stick. It could be grounding, like growing roots through my feet. It could be actually being outside, which is my plan after I pick up my daughter. We have tasks that we should be doing probably. It's going to get done before Friday, not a big deal. But there are some things that I think I need to be doing that can wait. So I'm probably going to do some restful playing, if that makes sense, when I get home today, because I really just feel like that's what I need. Just to reconnect with some ease and some joy with life again. That feels really good to me right now. And having a good snack too, so I'm not sure what that will be, but I'll look at my options when I get home. So I'm just coming to you with this video to get you tuned into, like, if this is how you're feeling, which I'm imagining I'm not the only one, then tune into how you're feeling, what could be the how come or the why, and what could be the easiest way for you to get some care and some nourishment, and let that be okay. Let it be okay that you feel sad, or you feel really irritable, or you're anxious. And if that typically are the ingredients for a binge coming on, I would say great. And it's awesome that you can know that and see that pattern and acknowledge it about yourself. And now let's decide what would be the most beneficial for you. If it means not going straight home and doing something totally different, if that means getting dinner in and giving yourself permission to eat enough to where even though you're really hungry, you let yourself get good and full. And remind yourself this is not a binge, this is just a meal. It might be a bigger meal, but it doesn't have to be more than that. Let that ground and resource you too. Okay? And yeah, take some time before you engage in any kind of meal to ground yourself. Again, with rain stick, other tools that you have that use, breathing, whatever it is, talking to somebody. As I'm talking, it's coming up. It's coming up for me about like what I need. And it's like, I want to go home and sit in the shade outside my garage where my daughter plays a little bit and eat a popsicle. Probably something else with that too. Cheese sounds good too. So we'll see what else comes along with that. But that's what sounds really good to me right now. And I can already feel myself like, I'm getting to look forward to that. And that feels really good. I'm hoping today's video was helpful. Please leave your comments about like what your circumstances are, where you get tripped up with like getting grounded, if you're feeling a little bit ungrounded or out of touch, or just feel a little like shaky or irritable. And that's just part of being human. It's not a big deal. I mean, I feel that way too. And I want to let you know that it's not like out of control or not fixable. It totally is. You're being human and feeling like a human being. And what we're aiming for obviously is more embodiment with that. So that means that if we feel those things, we don't judge it or blame it. We have compassion and we use our tools to our best of our ability, so it doesn't always have to come out through the food. If you're struggling with that kind of stuff and you feel like, I hear you, but it still feels like I'm in this place of I need more like structure and containment around that. Not structure in your eating, but containment of how to catch this stuff earlier and to feel more like you can manage it, then drop me an email, let me know. Be happy to help. Just give you some ideas of what it is you're struggling with, what the direction you could go in with that would be. All right, well, thank you so much for joining, and just honor how you feel. That's my 2 cents for today. I'll talk to you all soon. Thanks. Bye.